Hello, beautiful human. I am Zach. That is Dan. And we welcome to the studio for the first time ever one of my favorite artists of all time. Jess Glynne is here.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. Hello. I clapped too.
You are fucking incredible.
Wow,
Yes.
we can swear.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool.
You're amazing.
Thank you. Oh, I really appreciate that.
I genuinely think that you are one of the greatest pop artists of all time.
Oh my God, that's such a big statement. Wow.
Well, it's accurate.
Oh, I really appreciate that.
I mean, obviously, art is subjective, right? And it's up to people and how they feel and how they receive it,
course.
whatever. But your records, time and time again, are so fucking good. They're the perfect balance between incredibly meaningful and deep, but also the right amount of lightness that allows you to move and screaming at the top of your lungs.
Yeah.
They're so incredibly empowering.
Yeah.
You are fucking amazing.
Do you know what? I'm going to take it, Zach. I really am going to take it.
Please. Because, like, I'm not blowing smoke. There's
Yeah.
very few musicians that I've been waiting to interview.
Yeah.
Like, very few. I don't want to brag. We've interviewed so many musicians.
No, I know all about you.
Like, you're amazing. I've been waiting for so long.
Oh, well,
You're
do you know
incredible.
what? We finally got here.
Fuck yeah.
So let's do that.
Around would you say that Jess is your most personal body of work? Even though every album you have, there's so much of you on it. And
So
it's,
the new album,
yeah, Jess.
it's a really good question, you know, or statement. But basically, all of the albums are me, right? Because everything that I go through and everything I talk about is so personal and so raw, and like it's always a story or something that I've been inspired by, or an emotion or what have you of my life, or you know, like wherever it's come from. So it's like, I guess it's an evolution, and the reason I say that this body of work is is like such a kind of embodiment of me is just because of where I'm at in my life right now. And it's been a journey to get to this point of feeling the way I do in myself, in my team and in my work, and being able to like explore my kind of creativity in the way that I have on this record. It's just been very different. So I love, like, my first album's like, I think it's my favorite album. Like, I Cry When I Laugh is everything to me. I mean, it's what set my whole career off. And I think it's just that when you get to a point like with this album now with Jess, it's definitely my most kind of, maybe it's my most emotional record. And it's kind of like a lot more vocal, a lot more message, a lot more stripped back to a certain degree. That's how I would probably describe it.
We haven't listened to the full album, but I've listened to songs from it.
Right.
I feel like I Cry When I Laugh, Always in Between. It was giving talking to yourself, not necessarily about yourself.
That's a good one.
Well, I realized that yesterday, and I've consumed so much of your music.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's a through line here where it sounds like you're talking to yourself, not always about yourself.
Yeah, do you know what? It's actually a really... when I go in the studio, right, for me, I can't really just create just for the sake of like, we need a song, go and write a song. So for me, it's like, if I'm going into the studio, I need to feel something, or I need to have something going on in my life to be able to talk about it. And so with this album, for example, I finished my tour for my, like, where had I been? I'd been in Asia, and we finished the last part of the tour in the world, right? And I was like, whoa, I need a minute. And I was so like scared that I couldn't write again or sing again or anything, because I was so disconnected with music and with just everything. So like I had to take a break, and I think going into this record, it really took me like nearly a year to get back to that point of I'm inspired and I've got a story to tell.
What was the story?
I think the story at the beginning was just that I'd been through, I think, a lot in my personal life and with my team and with like music. I'd been on the road for like 7 years. And I think when I first went into the studio, I felt like I wanted to just talk about what I personally had been through in that kind of, through the tour, through the stuff on my label, through like my relationships, through my, you know, all of that. And Enough, the song that I've just released, for example, is like, that was pretty much the first song that I wrote. because of like the struggle with myself and with my team and with people, and there's always this like aura of like self-doubt, and also it's the pressure of the industry, and like, you know, I mean, you've met a lot of artists. It's like, you know how it goes. So I think that was the beginning of me kind of opening up to what it was that like the first thing I was going through. Am I good enough? Like I'd had a meeting with my label that year that made me feel a bit inadequate and like confused, like me artistically. So I remember going into that session and talking about that, as well as talking about, we'd been through COVID, and it was like, oh my God, everyone had been on, I mean, you've all been on a crazy journey, right? Since COVID. And I guess we all sat in that room and was like, how are you? Like, talk to me about you. And it was with a really close group of people that I have worked with, you know, a few times now, a lot actually. And we all talked about what we'd been through and where we were at in our life and what we were feeling good about, what we were feeling like weird about, like how we were feeling about getting back into the studio and making music again, and that the world had stopped, and how the hell were we gonna like redo any of what we did. Like it was just one of those moments. And that's where it all started.
What's going on in that label conversation? Right? Like, what's happening in that meeting that's making you question your artistry?
Do you know what it is? I think when you are an artist and you're working with, you've got like a management, you've got a label, you've got an agent, you've got a PR, you've got all these people around you, right? And essentially, you're all a team that want to win and like do the best and get the best out of your artist. But I think as well, you know, creatively, not everyone's always going to see things the same, and not everyone's going to hear things. So like you said, like you hear my album and music and oh my God, thankfully, like you love it. But some people are like, yeah, I could take it or leave it, or no, that's not what makes my kind of like heart tick or whatever. And I think it was one of those moments that I was going through with my team and my label that we weren't necessarily on the same page. We weren't seeing and hearing things the same. And I think that's totally fine. I think at the time I didn't know that that was fine, and I didn't know how to process that, or like if it was I didn't know what was gonna happen. And over time I look back now and I'm like, I'm so glad I made the decisions I made to get to where I am now, because it's allowed me to do what I felt was right creatively, artistically, and I've like been able to meet a team that, you know, now we all see and hear the same or feel the same.
Isn't that a wild realization to have about a team that had been with you from the very beginning? Your story is wild. Like, it's true. People said no to you. Like, you couldn't get a fucking role to save your life. Like, you couldn't, in school, you couldn't get a role in the place. X Factor didn't want you. Nobody wanted Jess Glynne.
It's crazy, you know, when I look back. It's so funny because at school, there was a lot of no's, and a lot of kind of like, I remember, it's funny you bring up the X Factor. I remember walking into that and walking out and being like, I don't want to do it. Like, I would never, like, I remember meeting those producers and thinking, why the hell am I here, you know? I immediately knew it wasn't right. And it's like, with my school, I think, you know, they pushed me into a box of like, I don't want to do music, and it silenced me through school to do my thing secretly and just kind of figure it out on my own. But I think it gives you this kind of energy to prove to people that you're all right and you can do it. So like, I think through those no's and through the kind of, I say the struggle, but through the, I guess, the struggle of like wanting to live the dream and do like my passion, I think like the no's are what spurred me on to get the yeses, you know? And I think even with the label and with the way that things panned out, I guess it's like, creative differences are a thing, and it's like, I'm just really, really lucky that the head of my label let me go more than anything, you know, and who understood where I was at and allowed me to kind of walk free.
It's just wild, like that same label that saw potential in you, because at the time you really were just marketing like booze, right? Some alcohol brand.
And well, you done your research, I was a brand experience manager.
And you understood what elements were needed to create a successful artist, even though your mom had been a part of some incredible careers, right?
Yeah,
she worked in A&R.
She did. She worked in A&R.
At the label that you get signed to.
Yeah, at Atlantic. She worked in all the labels, yeah.
But she did it way before you got signed.
So when actually it came to me doing it, she never got involved. She never ever gave, because it was such a long time, and I respect her so much for just letting me do my thing, because realistically, she couldn't really have helped or done anything. But my parents, you know, like, super supportive. Her thing was actually, are you sure you want to do this? Because it's fucking hard, like, Jess. Like, it's not, this is serious. Like, the likelihood of, and I was like, don't. Just let me do my thing. I've got a job. I'm making money. I'm paying my bills. Like, I'm working. If it all fails, I'm going to be all right. You know, so don't worry about it. I got this.
And your mom is saying that from a place of loving you.
Love, oh my gosh,
also the deepest of understanding. Because for every incredible act that she was a part of, she probably saw 100 fucking acts come and go.
She's
a part of the Rolling Stones.
She was like, she was an A&R coordinator. So she was just like seeing everyone going in the studios and booking it and watching them like grow and make albums. And she was just, you know, and so I think, yeah, I guess you do see the success and the highs and the lows. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I am so jealous of my mum. She worked in the industry in, I mean, the best times ever. Let's be real.
You're right. You're right.
It's so true. Like, yeah.
I think about that sometimes, like with radio people, because there was a certain moment in music and in radio where like it was everything.
Yeah.
Like it was, one, some of the most iconic music's being created that lays a foundation and like a path for so many artists to follow. But two, it's where like so much attention was given to it. And we didn't have nearly as many artists as we do today. Or even when you first started, really in 2013, 2012.
It's constant, isn't it?
It's like nuts.
Like, I mean, I find the industry, if we're going into that, it's in a crazy place. It's so different to when I first started, and it's so a lot of it's like it's like a little bit like fast food sometimes. It's like so quick and so oversaturated, and sometimes it scares me, being the type of artist that I am, that people aren't taking the time anymore to really listen to music or like taking the time to really understand where that artist is from or where that song's come from or listen to the lyric. Or like 30-second clips are scary, you know, because it's like you're only getting 30 seconds when there's a 3-minute song or even a 2-minute song, whatever it is these days. And like, obviously it works for some people and I think it's amazing in some cases, but then obviously for someone like me, you know, like I'm a different kind of artist to that, you know, and I've come from a different space, and the artists that I adore and I looked up to, like the Amy's and, you know, like the Arethas and the Lauryn Hills of the world, that like, you know, that have such a connection with their lyrics and their performance and just everything. So it's like, it's wild world. Like,
are you aware though that the music you've made is timeless?
I like to think so, that I make records that like, yeah, I like to think so. I do. I mean, I have to say, I am incredibly proud of the music that I've made. And I think that's why I'm really excited for this album to come out, because I think it's one of those records that to me already feel, I mean, it's been mine for the past how many years? Like, it's been a good few years that I've been holding on to this music. And I mean, a few songs have been added later on and what have you, but the joy I'm going to get by gifting that to the world and letting that go and knowing what's gone into it and what it means, yeah, to me, it feels timeless already.
Hello, beautiful human. Every year, millions of gamers experience IGSS, inadequate gaming setup syndrome. Luckily, a cure has been found. You have to go beyond with the Vibrasonic mattress by Beyond Sleep. This thing has 6 built-in subwoofers, USB ports for charging, LED lights so you never stub your toe. It gives you an acoustic massage when you want it, plus adjustable degrees of comfort. This right here is the best way to game ever. Cure your IGSS today at BeyondSleepTech.com. How long has this album been done?
It's been like definitely done for like finished for a year, but then in the course of this year it's been added. But it's taken me like 4 years essentially to do this album.
What song started it?
What song started the whole album?
Yeah, what song did you finish first?
Enough was the first song I finished. It was the first one.
Kind of needed, right?
Right, and it just set the tone. It was the first song I knew was going to be on the album. And it's crazy because, like, I have dreamt, like, my whole career, right, from the beginning of working with Greg Kurstin, who is a massive record producer. He's written some of the biggest songs with Adele, and I mean, there's a million different, reasons as to why I'm such a fan, right? And I wrote Enough, and he heard it, and he asked if he could work on it with me. And it was one of the most, I mean, for me, that was like, oh my gosh, like, Greg Kurstin wants to work with me. Like, that's huge. Like, if you go and look at his catalogue and what he's done, you will be like, wow.
But it's also validating.
100%. Yeah, it was incredibly that. And it was one of those moments where it wasn't until a little bit later, like the song was written and it sounded one way and it was one thing for a while. And it actually was, once I kind of like was on my way from departing from my management and my label, and I was going through all of that happened, and it was, and we were going to work together. And I was like, this song is so relevant because I am Enough. And I wanted to work with this guy, and people have doubted that situation or doubted me being able to do this or do that. And it's like, nah, you know what? I can, and I did it. And that's why I had an interview recently of somebody asking me what the song meant to me. And it's so crazy because from the moment I've written it to the moment now, it's meant so many different things.
That's what I always wonder is like when somebody writes a song, it means one thing, but when it changes over time.
It evolves, yeah.
So what does it mean now?
So now it's like, so at the beginning it was like me trying to teach myself that
Were you talking
lesson.
To yourself?
Yeah, it's like you're talking to yourself to tell yourself that, girl, like, you've done this, you've got this far, like, you freaking got this. Like, you don't need to. But also it's like, the battle at the time, and you're like, and the fight when you're singing that. And that's how it was at the beginning. But now I'm like, I listen to it with a really warm kind of light lifted chest because I'm like, I got here. And now I can sing this song and I'm like, yeah, I'm enough. And I've got people around me who constantly reassure me and like celebrate me and help me be the best version of myself as a person, as an artist, as a businesswoman, and whatever that is.
How special is that?
Yeah, it's freaking cool.
Yeah, really special. What are you thinking?
Well, why was Silly Me then the first song to reintroduce this new version or era of you?
I like that. So when we were deciding on the records and like when we got to this point last year of like, we're going to start releasing music, Enough was like always the first song because of obviously what I've explained. And it was so crazy. I just had this moment when I got the mixes back and I was listening to them both in the car. It's crazy. I sat on my drive in the car. I always listen to everything in the car. And I was just sat there and I was going back and forth between the two and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I was like, it was the first time something just went weird in my head and it just did not feel right to start with Enough. Because I was like, I've been away for like 4 or 5, I hadn't released like a single of just Jess since Thursday, which was in 2018. And it was, 2023 last year. So that's, I can't do math, but like 5 years?
5 years,
yeah. Okay, 5 years, right? And I was like, I'm re-entering a market and an industry that's evolved and changed so much. And I think people don't know where I've been or what's been going on and what have you. And the story of Silly Me just felt so like, hey, this is where I started when I was 16 and this is a little journey. And you know what? Like, we all have to like work hard, make mistakes, trip, fall, have like whatever's gone on in our life to teach us and to get to a certain point. And it's like, it just felt the perfect opening for me to just be like, come on guys, silly me. We all say it and we all feel it. And I think for me, like so much had happened, both like in the public eye, like in my life. And then like people had known this or a little bit of that. And I don't know, it felt like more of a story that was needed at that point to re-enter back in.
Is it a story about your life or are you talking to yourself? Are you talking
it's
to
a little
people?
bit of a story about myself. Yeah. It's not actually me talking to myself. It's me telling. It's like
it's sharing.
16 and I still don't have a heartbreak. Round wild, dance hard, no worries. Do you know what I mean? It was
You're telling
saying,
your story.
yeah. Huh?
You're telling your story.
Yeah, literally. 16 was a bit stupid. 21, a little bit more stupid. Got lost. And then it's like 25, oh yeah, starting to like find my way. Then it's like, oh, broke a few hearts, got my heart broken, had a few weird moments. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and now we're here. But it's cool. And it's like, it's one of those kind of self-deprivation, but also like self-celebration moments. And it's like, cool, now we can go.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So how'd you know the album was done?
How?
Yeah.
I didn't. I feel like even now I could add things to it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. No, it actually feels like a complete project. Like when I listened to it, actually, I was on a train a week or two ago, and I was like, I had like 2 hours on my own, and I just sat there and listened through it, and was just like, I've actually avoided listening through it. It's really weird. It's like I've had it, and obviously I've listened to it a million times, but like the actual order of it and everything, because for me, like order of songs is really important. Like it took me like a few months for me to get the order of it right. And it was like one of those things where it got to like 2 days of like, Jess, we have a deadline to meet if you want to release the album. And I was like, oh, and it was like the day before I had to like go back through and listen to it. And then from that moment, I couldn't listen to it again for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe I just like needed a break or just kind of was overwhelmed.
Has the order of the album been something you've always cared about? Or been
Yeah,
meticulous
always.
about?
It's always something I've cared about, yeah. Yeah, it's always been something I've cared about. But this time it was like I was allowed to just do it as I wanted it. It was the first time I genuinely got like full lease to just do it like how it made sense to me. And I did actually do it. And then I was like, can I just ask, I asked my people that I want to ask. I'm like, does this sound better here? And does that sound better there? And like, the people that I love, I really did want that opinion when I'd got to that point. Because for me, when you listen to a song, so like on the track listing, it's the intro and then it goes Silly Me. And then I think it goes into Easy, I think. And then, yeah. So then it's like the message of Silly Me and the message of Easy start the record off. It makes sense to then start to allow you to then go into, wait, where are we?
Say No.
Say No, yeah. Because there's Say No's, yeah.
That's
so it's
enough.
like all the messages make sense. But the problem is like when you're listening to it, sometimes the message makes sense, but does it sound right? So for me, it's like it has to like, feel good to the ear as well. And then it's like a freak out if it doesn't. So that's why it took so long.
But you're making each song siloed, right? So there's a chance that you can bring them all together and they don't connect.
There is a chance. But then you find a way. Somehow they just do. I always find a way. Because I think it's like there's all these messages and all this like storytelling and whatever it is, whether it's like deep or not deep or what if it's fun, like whatever, but it makes sense in the end.
At what point does it all, like, does it start presenting itself?
At what?
Like, at what point does the album start presenting itself for the story that you're actually telling?
I guess like when you get to the point of, that's a good question. When does it start? Yeah.
Like, when does it feel like a story?
I think like, have you heard the intro?
No.
No, we haven't.
I feel like that's when the story starts.
Of course. But like, when you made the intro, is that when it started for you? Or you were
See
like,
what you're
oh,
saying?
Yeah.
I got you. Sorry, my bad. I thought you meant through the album. No. When does it start presenting itself? When I wrote Enough. That's when then I was like, actually, I wrote this song called Promise Me. And I think that song...
And you end with that song.
I end with that song on purpose, yeah. It's like probably like... Lying is my favourite song on the album. It's like absolutely my favourite song on the album, which is weird to say because I love them all, but it's just there's something about that record. But Promise Me I wrote that with Greg Kirsten and I was in LA on my own and it was through this trialing time. I'd been out here for a while and I was sat in my hotel room the night before the session and I was like, I really didn't want to go in without something or without, like I was feeling a lot. And I remember sitting on the end of my bed and I was going through an emotional time And I remember writing these lyrics and how I had like this melody and I was just kind of like splurging what I was feeling out on paper or whatever. And I remember going into that session with him and he just thought he's so, I don't know, he's so special when he goes to like a piano. And like, I love the piano. And he just started playing away and it all just like came together quite quickly. It was really like beautiful. And I remember finishing that song and having a moment of like, whoa, it's coming together. Like it feels like I'm making a record. And that's probably what like the presenting of the album and the story comes.
Do you feel like you need to go into a session with something?
No, not always. That session I really did though. I'd already had a session with him and I'd been in with him like for a couple of days or whatever. But that day I'd left and I was really like, I think I was just struggling with my circumstance. I think like I was out here, I was on my own. I felt very kind of disconnected from my work people, but then I felt very like, and I was going through something in a relationship and I was very kind of like trying to prove a point, but then I was trying to like be like, it was crazy. I was trying to find myself as a person and like be stable in my own self, but it was just so many different journeys I was on. And I think I just remember sitting there and like, it's kind of mad actually. I found this video because I remember my friend told me, you know, you should just talk or write. And I like put my phone in a room. Like, I find it embarrassing, but it's funny. But it's actually really special. I put the phone on like the desk in this hotel room and I was like, hiya, you all right? And I think I just sat and spoke to my phone for like an hour. Like it's mad. Like on this video.
Mad or healthy, dude?
Huh?
Is that crazy or healthy? I don't know.
Yeah, what is it? Like I actually don't know whether I was like going absolutely insane or whether it's like, it was like a therapy. I don't know what the hell. Like I found it like maybe a couple of weeks ago and I was like, rah, you were really not all right. But it was mad because it summed up why everything has like ended up the way it has. It's like, wow, you've come so flipping far. Like, if that's where you was at and those are the conversations you were having with yourself, well done. Like, and I remember that was probably like the night before, the night that I went to, like before I was going in to do that session with him. And then this song came, and that song's the reason that like I'm with my management now, and why like I made all the choices that I did. Really, to be honest, it's like the reason for like why I'm here.
That's wild.
Yeah, and that's why I sealed the album with "Promise Me." So the lyric in it is, "Will you promise me love?" So it ends on "Will you promise me love?" And that's just like, to me, it's like, what a beautiful way to end the album.
Your voice is crazy.
I was just going to say, your voice is so good.
Sorry. It's like, in person sounds exactly like a track.
I don't know. It's my voice though.
It's crazy.
Thank you.
I'm very sweating right now. That's wild.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's a good story, I suppose.
Oh. Is there a connective tissue between, you have music, right?
I have music.
That is so big that people may not know your name, but probably know 2 to 3 of your songs. And at a minimum, they know one really well.
So, let me tell you.
Yeah?
This fight I have with my manager. I don't have a fight with her, actually. It's actually a beautiful thing. Because when I met Jay Brown and when I met like the Rock Nation team and what have you, and like it was like a journey to start working. It was like a lot back and forth and like, new team, And then when I eventually met Sarah, who is my manager, it was like this moment, like we met and she was such a fan of my song Rather Be. And her thing was, I'm just sick because you're so freaking amazing and you've got like the biggest hits in the world or whatever, and people just don't know who the hell you are. Like people don't know your face or they don't know your name. And it's like, you talk to someone like out here and you're like, hey, you're right. Do you know, like I could be sat down next to someone and be like, hey, you're right. And they're like, yeah, you, hi, I'm Jess. Yeah, me, no, I'm Mary, whatever. And like this actually happened the other night. We were with someone and we were having a chat, we were having a dinner. And then Sarah's like, oh, I'm sorry, but you must know, like, no. And she was like, oh my God, that's my husband's favorite song. Oh my God, that's you. She was like, oh my God, like freaking out. And it's like, that connection, like, it's one of those things. She's like, it's her determination. She's like, they will know exactly who you are. They're going to hear your voice and see your face, and they're going to know. It's mental.
It's going to happen, but the power of your music is real. The second you hum something or you give them a lyric,
it's a recognizable tone. Yeah.
But what is there something that connects songs like "I'll Be There," "Take Me Home," "Hold My Hand"? Like, is there anything that's like a common thread between all of them, or the process the same?
I'm just trying to think about the process. Actually, for those songs were all really different. "Take Me Home" is like before I had any deal or anything, or I remember I was going through an awful breakup, and I walked, like, I was working with a friend of mine in his room, like literally like bedroom, piano, he had this little beat, and I remember going around and we were like, right, let's do a session. And that day I was really having a bad day of it, but I was like, just go and just show your face because you promised. And like walked into this room, and it was like, he'd set up a mic in his room and he's like pressing play on his thing. And he was like, because I walked in actually and I just burst into tears. And he was like, what the hell? Why are you here? I was like, I can't. He's like, right. We had a little chat, we had a little cup of tea. And then he was like, right. He was like, how about you just told me loads of stories. Just go and stand at the mic and just sing. And then we'll call it a day. And he's like, and then maybe we'll get something, maybe we won't. He was like, just tell your story on the mic instead of to me. So I just went up to the mic and like crying, talking, singing, whatever I did that. And then he was like, cool, let's go get food. He was like, let's forget it. We went and got food. I had a night. He took my mind away from everything. Got on with my day. He then sent me this track where he chopped up like what I'd said, sung, whatever. And like that's how "Take Me Home" like came together. It's mad. But the other songs are all completely different. So then it was like, yeah, which was beautiful actually. But yeah, that's how that one came. And then that actually, I didn't play to my label until for a while. And once I eventually signed, and then I did. And I kind of went back in and reworked it a bit with another producer and stuff. But yeah, that was a really mad journey. "I'll Be There," another cool story. A friend of mine, songwriter, Camille, I don't know if you know about her, she's written millions of hits. She messaged me one day, this really long message. We'd written a lot together and we were like, cool. She was like, I just want to say, I've never properly like gone in on your album, my first record, my first album. She's like, I've never properly like gone in it, but it's like, she was obviously going through like a really hard time, a breakup or whatever she was going through. And she was like, your album's basically just like held my hand, and like, I can't, like, I've never really listened to the lyric like I have now. And she was just like, thank you. And just thank you for being there for me without being there for me. And then we got in the studio, I did like this camp thing for my second album. And she came down, I think on the last day, and she was in one of the rooms, and she came and got me from another room and was like, hey, can you come and listen to this thing? I just want to see if you like it or whatever. And she played the song, and she'd started like the verse, and she had parts of the chorus and what have you. And she was like, I want to work on it, finish it with you. But it started and it was like, when all the tears are rolling down your face. Wait, how does it go? When all the tears are rolling down your face. And it feels like yours is the only heart to break. And you come back home and all the lights are out. And then I was like, oh, I'll be there. 2 million different keys just then. And then I heard that, oh, I'll be there. And then I looked at her and I was like, I could just see a tear in her eye. And I was like, Camille. She was like, this song's for you. Thank you. And I was just like, I think I just burst into tears. I was like, I love it. It's like, so you've just written this for me? And she was like, yeah, like, do you love it? And I was like, yeah, let's finish it. And then we got, yeah, so like, that was a completely different experience.
You know, like, whoa. That song is there for so many people.
Yeah, and it was there for me, and I was like, wow. So every time I sing that song, I feel like it's a gift to me. It's kind of mad. And I love it because it means something. Yeah, it means, I mean, a million different things to a million different people. But
what does it mean to you right now?
It means a lot, actually, because we've connected recently, and it just reminds me like of having actually a supportive woman in the industry, like who, yeah, I like at the moment it's like a celebratory song for me, you know?
Totally. It's really beautiful.
Yeah. So they're all written differently, basically.
Yeah, everyone has a different story.
What would rather be? Did Clean Bandit just kind of say, hey, we want you to sing on this?
Yeah, so that's what I was doing. They approached they had written this song actually, and the head of my label had sent it to me, to my management. And I remember I'd listened to it and I got this email and I was like, oh no, didn't like the demo. I was like, I just was like, no, I'd never sung someone else's song before. It was really early on, like I was figuring myself out. And then I got sent it again and I was like, oh, I'm really sorry. Like, I just don't really feel like, this feels weird to sing someone's song, like, And then I got sent it again. And I got sent it again with a voice note, like, Jess, please don't say no and just listen to my reasoning. All you have to do is go in and meet the guys that have done the song and just sing it. There's no pressure, just try. Like, just open your mind because we love this song and we believe, like, whatever. I was like, cool, if I can go in and sing it and there's no commitment, I'll do it. I went in, I met Jack from Clean Bandit, and then I was like, I sang the song, and then I came out and I was like, hey, I like the song. It took a minute to get there. We went and recorded it a couple times, and then, yeah, I mean, I fell in love with it. I did.
At what point?
I think after, like, maybe the second time I've been in the studio and we'd got it right, and, like, we'd got all the kind of, like, it's different hearing someone else sing a song that you haven't written, and then you're like, how do I, firstly, like, what's this about? Like, because again, it's like you have to sing a song and tell a story because it's a storytelling song. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, how can I relate? How can I make this mine? But then it quite easily felt like it was mine the minute I sang it. So I was like, oh, okay, this works. And then went back in and then I was like, right, okay. Then we got the like backing vocals on there and then we kind of like changed and got into the middle A and like just made it my own and then it just clicked.
There's something there though, like maybe the common thread here is that the most popular songs that you've had, when people sing them and hear them, it does feel like theirs. Like it feels super personal.
Yeah.
Like there is a level of like personal ownership that goes over these records because they're incredibly empowering.
Yeah.
I
know, yeah. That's a good one, yeah.
I don't know. I listen to your shit and I cry, and they're huge pop records that you shouldn't be crying at.
Yeah.
But you get super into your own mind. You learn about yourself from thinking, and I don't know. There's so much deeper than the, like if you listen once, you may pick up. There's so much deeper.
I know. It is such a. It's the one thing that, and the one reason like I just never like because there has been times in the past few years where I'm like, I really feel like I have to just step out and like say goodbye to it because it does get to that point. It has got to that point. And like even this conversation, for example, it just like, it reassures you. It's like, there's a reason why you do this. Like one for me, like I do it for myself and to help my own mind and my own life to be able to like enjoy. But also to get like, for me, obviously, not obviously actually, but like my way of communication and like dealing with and processing things for myself is writing. But one of the most incredible things is that, like what you're saying, you listen to that song and it makes you feel something. It like teaches you something maybe about yourself, or it makes you like question something that you're doing in a different way and maybe look at it differently or whatever that is. Or it just makes you like feel freaking amazing and just want to dance about and like just scream at the top of your lungs, or it just makes you want to like go into yourself. And it's like, that's why I do it. Like I walk down the street and people come up to me, you know, a lot, and the one thing they say isn't like, it's actually always thank you. It's like a lot of it is thank you so much for your music, or I love your music, it's really helped me. Don't be so hard on yourself is one of the like main ones that I get. It's like, don't be so hard on yourself, saved my life, and like I can't tell you what I would have done without that song. And it's like, wow, that's like a crazy statement, but it's like one of the most incredible things.
But another song where you're talking to you, like you're giving these songs to yourself in moments where you clearly need them.
Yeah, and then it's like the best gift in the world to be able to give that to other people and then actually receive that response. It's like, and that's why I do music, Jess. And no matter how it comes out or how it's perceived or how well it does or whatever, at least one person like feels that way and you've done a good job.
I think Thursday has helped a ton of people as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you and Ed Sheeran, you wrote that with Ed
Yeah, I
Sheeran,
read that with Ed
right?
Sheeran, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was just reading the comments on that, and everything you're saying, people are like, this song helped me so much. I wake up in the morning, I hate myself, and I listen to the song, and it makes me feel so much better.
Yeah, like hearing those comments is crazy. Like that's another one actually, yeah. Like remember to love yourself. Like that's the thing. It's like, oh Jess, man. Like I remember doing the performance at the Brit Awards in 2019. And it was actually crazy because I did that performance and the reaction was like, obviously I was like taking my makeup off on stage and it was very emotional. I had like my mum behind me doing it, my best mate the other side, and like I did it with her. And I remember like finishing that performance and then like it really, really connected. And it was mad actually. I just remember coming to the States not long after that performance and the reaction over here to that was like, it really, like just that performance had connected on another level. Just because it was like, wow, how come you decided to do that? And it's like, not that big of a thing, but actually it's such a massive thing. Because we are like, we don't go on TV without makeup. We don't like, a lot of the time go out without makeup or think about how we look or like dare to even be like, I mean, I think people are doing it more now and like stripping it back and starting to like be a bit more like, this is me. And I love that actually. But yeah, I think it was a first moment of like, whoa, you made a statement and it felt like really empowering. And I like, it's my favourite performance I've ever done, like for, yeah, I can think of.
When you do a performance like that and you see and feel the impact, does it push you in any one direction? Like, does it push you to share more? Does it push you to, I don't know, be reserved? What does it do?
I think it does push you to do, I think it makes me, I think doing that song actually and having that moment and then I guess like I went on the road and you stand on stage and like you hear that response and then you get your kind of like your fan mail and these letters and it's like it's a validation that you're not alone and like it's such a beautiful thing and that's what I love about music and it's another reason why I genuinely don't think I could ever walk away from it because it's like it holds your hand, like it's there for you no matter what. And it's one of the things that teaches you, makes you feel like, puts you through your paces, gives you joy, like allows you to escape the world and allows you to like connect with the world. So it's like, it's one of the most incredible things. And I think moments like that remind you, well, me.
By the way, you can listen to Jess and all of Jess Glynne's music is waiting for you on Amazon Music. Is it wild for you to wrap your mind around the fact that Rather Be is quite possibly unequivocally one of the greatest pop songs of all time? And it's on the lists.
Obsessed. And it's 10-year anniversary this year.
That's wild.
How cool is that? It's like mad. And I feel like I did it yesterday.
Really?
Yeah. It's incredible. It's on wait, it's on a list of like...
It's on a lot of lists. Yeah.
I mean, it's a freaking amazing song and amazing moment in time because it was... When that song came out, it was like me and Sam Smith and a few others, and it was like when collaborating was like became a thing.
Yeah.
It was like the beginning of that era, really. And it was like I had all these moments collaborating with artists, and actually that was my fear. It was like I'm a solo artist, and I was collaborating, and I had all these amazing records, and then I was like, oh my God, like what am I gonna do when I want to release my own one? Like, oh my gosh, I have to do one on my own ASAP in case like. And I don't know why I ever feared it, because, you know, it's all about the belief system and a great song or whatever. And like, I really, you know, but yeah, it's mad.
I do believe America failed you, though.
Oh,
They sure did.
I really believe that.
Oh, that's sad.
And I would tell,
It's been
I mean, I've told the people at your old label that all the time.
Yeah. No, do you know what? It's one of those things where I look at it and like, I mean, look, I appreciate you even acknowledging that. It's hard because of the journey that I was on and the lack of attention maybe to detail at certain times, which people didn't know how to guide correctly or like take the opportunity to like, you know, really go there. But you know what? Like everything happens when it's meant to happen. And I feel like I'm on the right journey right now. And so it's cool. Do you know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. America won't fail me this time around.
And there's a whole other album to release. There's way more time. And also, like, you're an incredible musician and the art you create is timeless and it will find the audience it needs to find.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing, like, the journey that I've been on, and that's like, you know, I've done a lot of work on myself. I've been in therapy. I've had like some crazy things happen. I like lost a friend really tragically, and it's changed my whole outlook on life. And I think it's just that you go through so many things in your life that challenge you. And we all have our own things, whatever that may be. But you never know what someone's going through, and you never know like the extent of whatever. And it's like just learning to be so grateful to like be here, to be able to do what you do. And also, like you say, it's like music will find its audience. And it's like, look, don't get me wrong, I put pressure on myself, I doubt myself, I have my moments, I freak out, and then I'm excited, or it's like the crazy roller coaster of our job. But ultimately, it's like the audience will be found, and the like moment will be.
Loss and grief is really hard.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Yeah, no, it's like mental. But, you know, like, again, it's like, that was a tragic time, and it happened crazily time whilst everything was changing in my life. But I can, like, at least I can talk about it now. Do you know what I mean? And I can just accept, and I'm like, and I put that into my music and into my, like, and it just gives me a passion for life, because you never know what's around the corner and what can happen. You just got to appreciate every day you get.
It's really true.
No, you really do. It's like, really do.
It's hard. Like, losing your friend is hard.
Yeah, it is hard.
Losing somebody who matters to you in any capacity is really hard.
No, it is really hard. And it's like, I don't wish that on anyone. But she was the most incredible person in my life. And she taught me so much about myself and was with me for years in my career. And she always just taught me to be me. And that's the one thing that I've, you know, been freaking standing by since she's left, is like, be me, trust your gut, and just freaking go for it.
And that's exactly what she would have wanted.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, she's around doing her thing.
You can feel her, right?
Always. I really do.
Crazy.
And especially like now more than ever, there's moments I'm like, rah. And she was a wild one. So it was like, she knows. Like, it was actually a really kind of emotional moment actually going to the Brits the other day, because that's where we had our first, she was my hairstylist, and like that was our first thing that we did together, was my first Brit Awards performance in 2016 or 2015.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, I'd met her briefly before, but that was our first moment of actually putting our, you know, creativity together, and it was wow, that huge hair. So going to the Brits this year was quite like, this is weird, but it wasn't planned, but like she always had like this bright pink hair, and I just ended up happening to wear, like, this designer, Standing Ground, dressed me and designed this amazing dress, bright pink, and it was like really weird, coincidental. But I was like, oh, she's here, she's around me, she's on me. So yeah, she's around.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
The Brits are cool.
They
I feel
are
like
cool,
they don't
yeah.
get enough respect either. America doesn't really, I don't know. Like, I want to see Ray get more respect. I love her.
Ray?
Yeah, Ray, you know?
She just won like,
Like 10 Brits or something, right? Or something? Not 10.
She's having an amazing moment. Do you know what the most, like, it was such an incredible moment actually for me. I got to present her with an award at the Brits. And I've known her for years. She was like doing her thing and working with my really good friend Jin, who I write a lot of my songs with. And I was going on tour, on my first tour. And I was like, Ray, come on tour with me. And she was my support act. And it was the first support tour she'd like ever done. And it was like really amazing actually. To stand on that stage and then just see her like at that stage of like, she's been fighting the fight and she's been working so damn hard. And to be able to be like, yeah, I just remember hugging her and I was just like, this is your moment. She was like, oh my God, you were my first. And it's like, yeah. But you know what? Like, to be able to like have moments like that with artists, especially as females, because they like really try to pit us against each other. But to be able to have that and like be so like, yeah, I always knew you were like worthy. Always knew. I always believed in her. Like, and I'm so happy for her.
She's amazing.
She is incredible.
Really, like an incredible, one of the once in a generation talent type deals. Really great.
She is really great.
But you are too. The UK breeds some amazing, amazing artists.
Yeah, we do. We definitely do. And it's like, it's crazy, like, because all around the world there's such incredible artists. And so, like, it's just so difficult for everyone to have their moment and to make noise and to be in that. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, we're all out here trying and hustling and doing our thing. And like you say, like, just you guys over here, I'm on the other side of the world and you're like such a fan. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it does translate. If it's meant to be, it translates.
I'll tell the world that America fucked up on Jess Glynne.
No.
I was just telling Carlos before you came in, I was like, there's all these artists playing arenas, stadiums. And I was like, Jess Glynne should be playing arenas and stadiums.
Yeah,
the music is that
good. We should be. Don't worry.
You will be.
I will be. That's the thing. It's happening.
Knock on that plank of wood. Yes.
We're
coming,
here
baby.
this time round. It ain't going to be like anything like that. It's very different.
Is dance music what you always wanted to do?
I think it was like something that definitely fell into my lap a little bit. I wouldn't say I strived for it at the beginning, but it kind of like Rather Be came into my life, and it's like I'm like the biggest pop fan. Like I love pop music, so like it's not unusual that like I went straight into that world or whatever. Like I'm a feel good girl, and I like love, and it like when I did Rather Be, it just was like, yeah, this makes sense, you know. Mm-hmm. And then like Hold My Hand and Right Here and like all the records that then started to follow, just it was like, yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Because then you also release acoustic versions of all these songs.
So good.
So I was like,
because it's so important to me, because like sometimes you hear the song differently.
Yeah.
So the record that I released last year, a friend of mine, right? It's like you can listen to the version that's out and then listen to the acoustic. Like my favorite version of that is the acoustic version that I did. Like I'm obsessed with it. Because like I hear the song and it makes me feel something so like elevated that like the actual record doesn't. I love the record, but for me it's like, and I always like to offer that energy to people because that's like how I hear it. I always hear those like other versions. I don't know why.
How are you writing it too? Or like, are you crafting it to a beat or are you writing it to a piano
Always
guitar?
writing acoustically.
Yeah.
So I think that's why. And then I hear it and I'm so passionate about like feeling and like musicianship, and like I love just like me and a piano. I love it, and like backing vocals and just like raw. Like Amy Winehouse is like one of my favorite artists ever, right? And just hearing her sing like really stripped back, which it always was, it's like my favorite thing in the world. Like that for me, like hearing Lauryn Hill unplugged, like when it's just like nothing's better than that.
But isn't that the sign of a great story when you can strip it back to absolutely nothing and it still
an
sounds
amazing
incredible?
song? Yeah, I think that's like why I do it. Because for me, like when I write, the one thing that's so important to me is like, as long as this sounds incredible, just me and guitar, just me and piano, we're good. But if it doesn't, I can't do it.
Do you remember the first song you ever wrote?
Yeah. It was so stupid.
What was it? How old were
It was
you?
like, I was like maybe 16 and I was singing at something. I can't remember what I did, but I'd met this guy who was like a producer and he was working with, I don't know. He was like, oh, do you want to record a song? And being all like cool. And I was like, all right, yeah. And then did this song and it was like it was like, I can't actually remember it right now. I've definitely got it on one of my laptop somewhere. And it was like about like, shake your hip, I'm a walk, like, look at me, da da da, like awful. And I remember I did this other song, which was like but actually that was probably like a collaboration-y thing that I did with this guy, who's just like weird. And then like there was like another song that I actually wrote and it was like, yeah, horrendous. When I think about it, like, love, dance, because my hits, like all of that stuff. Just like talking about nonsense.
Do you remember the first time you wrote a good song or something that you thought could be good?
Yeah.
Or did you think those songs were good?
Nah. I just remember like, I mean, I think at the time that the first proper song I did and recorded on my own that I'm just like, I really want to find it. I remember the melody because it was just like hilarious. But it might come to me. But I did at the time think that one was good, yeah. And I was like, God, I've written a song, I recorded it, wow. And everyone's like, yeah. But like we were young, so anything probably sounded good.
I get that.
But I do remember writing a song and being like, oh, this is decent. I remember writing this song called Story. It was like, this is my story, one that I get to tell. When it don't find me, you better be yourself. And I remember writing that and thinking, oh, this is a song. This actually means something. Like I've written a song that actually means something.
Where'd it go?
Don't know. It's like sitting in the cloud somewhere. I don't have a clue. But I mean, I still love it. I remember performing it like, when I first started like doing shows and stuff and I had like no songs. But yeah, that's funny.
Maybe he'll make an appearance
He
one day.
might make an appearance one day. Yeah.
You think Rollin' would sound good acoustic? Have you ever sang that acoustic?
Rolling, yeah, I have, yeah, with a guitar. Sounds great.
Does it?
Yeah, wait, how does rolling go? Yeah, guys, this ain't the way I'm rolling. The way, yeah, it sounds good.
Oh, that does sound
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Because the production is so important in that song. But you know what?
Nah,
I was
it's cool.
wrong.
Like, because with a guitar, it's just like, bing, ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah, it's vibe.
That's great.
Yeah.
So everything written to guitar or piano.
Yeah, everything, yeah.
Sick. Listen to Jess. It's waiting for you on Amazon Music. There's a link below. Also, listen to all of Jess Glynne's discography. It's fucking incredible and worth your time. And you may have heard most of the songs on there already. So listen again. All on Amazon Music. What are you thinking?
Was Jess always the name for this album?
No.
What was the original?
What was the original? Do you know what? I'm not even going to tell you what the original is because it's like one of those things where I'm like, I'm really glad I didn't call it that and I don't want it going anywhere. But you know what? Like when I basically had like got deeper into the record and actually when I met Sarah, my manager, and we had this like first kind of like, right, listening to music, talking, whatever. I just remember her being like, why isn't your album called Jess? Like, what the fuck? And I was like, calm down. I've already got a title. She was like, I'm just saying, like, it's yours. Like, do your thing. However, this is all I'm saying. Think about it. And you know what? I hate being told, or I hate, like, I've always got a story because, like, my albums always come from, like, a title. So, I've, like, both of my titles of the previous albums I've had early on, and that's been the messaging of the album. And then it's like, she threw that at me, and I was like, no, I don't want to talk about it. And then it sat with me for ages, and the more I got into it, the more I was like, oh, you know what? This is me. Like, what, like, better way to, like, actually kind of present this record? And then I was like, Sarah, I'm going to call the album Jess. She was like, I told you.
Accent's so good.
Is Sarah here with you? I need to meet
Yeah,
her.
Sarah Francis. She's somewhere. Like, you'll see. She's going to be like, stop.
I want to listen to the full thing. We have 15
We're going to
songs.
give it to you. We're going to give it to you. We'll get you a link, honestly, yeah.
Well, listen to Jess. It's waiting for you now. All on Amazon Music. Final thoughts?
Nope. So glad you came in. We all love you. You're the best.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Please come back.
I will.
You really are such a gift.
Listen, you're going to be coming to my arena show in
yes,
Los
we
Angeles.
are.
That's what's happening. Don't worry.
I'll be there. I'll be boobs to barricade.
Yeah.
God, really? You have timeless fucking records. Don't forget it.
Yeah, don't forget it.
Jess Glynne, everybody.
Thank you so much.